Hi, welcome to my talk about serverless computing. So I'm Yaara. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters. 2 of them are humans and 1 is almost. I'm a full stack developer and a squad lead in CyberArk. In my free time, I like drawing, running, reading, and when possible, traveling. So let's start. Let's try to understand what serverless is. You probably have already heard the buzzword serverless, right? So serverless computing. We can divide the word serverless into 2 different words, server and less. Less server handling on your day work. It doesn't mean you don't have a server at all. It just means that your application will run on a remote server. Running a serverless application, it means that you don't have to purchase a server in order to run your application on it. You will just pay someone else to use their server for running your application on it. Serverless also provides you some backend services, such as data storage, queues for communications, database, and much more. Now, I would like to show you a short animation that I have created for this talk that will emphasize the benefits of serverless computing. Let's watch it. Okay. So, this is Bob. Bob is a software developer. And this is Suzanne. She is also a software developer. Both of them deployed a management system. Bob deployed it on a local server, while Suzanne deployed her system as a serverless service. One day, the customer found a bug in both Bob and Suzanne's system. So Bob and Suzanne had to fix the bug. And they did it, yay! Now Bob has to build his code, packing it, and deploy it on his local server, while Suzanne only needs to deploy her fix on the cloud. Some time passed, and more customers joined the systems of Bob and Suzanne. Suddenly, Bob's system began to work slowly and slowly. Bob monitored the system and tried to understand what to do. He had to upload more pods and scaling the traffic. And Suzanne is working on a new cool feature, while the cloud provider is scaling up her system. The PO and other customers came with other announcements for Bob and Suzanne's systems. But poor Bob is struggling trying to monitor his system, scaling it up, and now also the new enhancement. When will he have time for all of this? And Suzanne, she has much time to work on the new features. She doesn't have to worry about scalability nor maintenance, since the cloud provider does all of this for her. Okay, so let's get back to our presentation. So let's see who is going to benefit from serverless. Here are 4 stakeholders that benefit from serverless computing. The first one is Ed. Ed is our DevOps. He is going to have much more time now, since serverless application is easy to deploy. The scalability and maintenance are taken care by the cloud provider. Next one is Edwin, our CFO. Since serverless computing payment method is pay-as-you-go, you will pay only for the time when your application is executed. While the server is idle, because your application is not being executed, you don't pay. It is like getting a server on demand. Edith is our customer. She is going to benefit from serverless computing because the developers will no longer need to handle the infrastructure, so they will have more time to focus on UX and customer success. And the last one is Eddie, our office cactus. You will have more time to take care of it. So how does serverless work? Serverless is an event-driven compute paradigm. You write your code, upload it, define the triggers, and then an event triggers your code, and your code is running. The code is invoked only when it's triggered by a request. A trigger, for example, can be a change in database, a message that arrived to a queue you're listening to, a click on a website, and much more. These functions can be connected together to create a processing pipeline, or they can serve as components of a larger application. Now let's see the pros and cons of serverless computing. The pros: we as developers don't need to worry about managing machine resources. Deployment is easy and fast. Since we don't have to manage the servers and we don't provide the infrastructure, we don't need to install anything, just compile our code, and the rest is done like a magic. Any fix or a code change can be done very quickly. Just fix the code, compile it on the cloud, and the rest is done by itself, or by the cloud provider, but not by us. Second is pay-as-you-go method. We, or actually our organization, don't need to purchase any server. In addition, we pay only for the resources we use, for the time we use it. No running application, no payment. Another advantage is great UX and happy customers. Since we need to focus only on the application and not handling the infrastructure, we have much more time to improve the look and feel. And this is what matters to customers. They don't care about the work that we do behind the scenes. Next one is better latency. A cloud provider has servers spread all around the world. So if my customer is from Iceland, I will pay for servers in Europe rather than a server in the USA. And the last one, from a global point, less energy is wasted for nothing. These servers are used by many customers at different times, so there are much less empty slots when server runs without any application executed on it. And now for the cons. The first one is debugging. Debugging is more difficult because the serverless is like a black box for us. There are no tools to debug a serverless application. I found myself once digging into so many irrelevant log files until I found the specific one that contained the error I was looking for. You actually need to learn about the log system of your cloud provider in order to debug your end-to-end application. Next one is finance issues. Developers need to think about when to run the application, when to shut it down, and to carefully check the payment method. Otherwise, they will probably waste money for their organization. As a developer, it was the first time that I had to take financial factors into account at work, not at home, of course. Then we have security issues. Uploading your code into a cloud is never as safe as keeping it inside your organization. Your code depends on many third parties, which might contain malicious code, or relies on open source code, which might be problematic sometimes. And the last one, vendor lock-in. When we decide to use one cloud provider, we make adjustments which don't fit another vendor. And finally, when to use serverless? If you want to build a lightweight and flexible application, which is fast expanded and updated, if your application needs to be triggered by different events, if your app don't need to run all the time, and from latency aspect, to be close to your end users. Okay, and now for the exciting part of this talk. I'm going to show you how simple it is to write a serverless application. So before you can start, you need to create an Azure account, install Python, install Azure CLI. And after you've done all of this, you need to sign in to Azure from the CLI by typing AZ for Azure plugin. You can clone the sample that I will show you in a minute. Here, this is the really simple function that I wrote in Python. I used also a Flask, which is a Python framework for web. Okay, so let's see this function. It's called hello. It is called hello. I pass it the name, and it prints to the screen, hello name. Serverless computing is here to stay. Okay, so if we are going to the terminal. Okay, so in order to run my application on my local host, I just need to run flask run. Okay, and then if I'm going here, you can see, hello Yaara, serverless computing is here to stay. Very nice, right? But it's not serverless. It is not running on Azure yet. So in order to run it on Azure, I need to run this command. Okay, this command is for the first deploy on Azure. Here I have Azure Web App, and then I gave it the name of the application. I called it Serverless Computing Demo. Okay, it is going to take several minutes. Therefore, I've already ran it, and you can see it here. Okay, here you can see that the URL is Serverless Computing Demo, the name that I gave my application, and it runs on Azure. See, Azure websites. Then hello and Yaara, this is my name, and then it prints me, hello Yaara, serverless computing is here to stay. Okay, very, very easy. Next time when I'm going to change here something in the code, for example, I don't know, another mark sign, and then I type Command S to save my work, and then in order to deploy it for the next time, for the second time all I have to run is this, okay? And this is not going to take several minutes as before, because this is only to deploy the changes that I've done. Okay, so see, it is very, very simple. You can clone the sample from my GitHub. Okay, it is really easy, simple function. And I wrote here all the instructions. So let's summarize. In this talk, we explained what is serverless computing, who benefits from it. We went over the pros and cons, and we understood when we should use it. We ended with a live demo, and that's all. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope you enjoyed as well. And you can contact me via LinkedIn. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.